Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Question of the Day. Before we get started, I'd like to congratulate my family, Jamal and his wife out in Miami about to jump the broom and get married. I'd like to thank my family, Denny, Big Will, Little Will, Nas, and the rest of the crew, and my brother B. Y'all be careful out there, man, and take care of Mal. Okay, now today's show is sponsored by Cephas Thornton and Associates. Provides quality tax and accounting services for personal and business clients. For more information and to schedule an appointment, call 410-559-6883. 410-559-6883. Cephas Thornton and Associates, your tax and accounting services. Today we have two special guests in the studios today. We have Professor Lester L. Burney, an associate professor of human services counseling at the Community College of Baltimore County. Mr. Burney has proudly attended and completed studies at Morgan State University, Coppin State University, as well as the Johns Hopkins University. Mr. Burney also works as a licensed professional counselor and is senior associate of the Woodbridge Behavioral Health Associates, LLC, a private practice. Also in the studios, we have Mr. Sherman Nelson Jr., 30 years of experience in Taekwondo, receiving 4th degree black belt, training athletes since 1994, and have been a coach of the United States national team since 2002. A licensed Baptist minister and a member of the Carolina Missionary Baptist Church. Authored 2 books, Flowing from the Heart, Letters from a Father to a Son, e-book Breakfast for Champions, a 21-day devotional. Both are available at Amazon.com, and book 3 is in the works. Welcome to Question of the Day, gentlemen.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the question of the day: why are so many men afraid or hesitant to seek mental or physical help? Callers, if you want to be a part of the question, 410-481-1010. Anyone on the panel?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to first acknowledge is, you and your show for bringing more awareness and light to this particular issue. It's a issue that affects men, but, even in our community, the African American community, we see that there are oftentimes tremendous stigmas, myths, misperceptions associated with mental health services. One of the things that we know as a fact is that mental health definitely is part of wellness, it's part of optimal health. We want individuals to seek out and say, I need help, I'm going through something. And things that are very systemic of our community, things like socioeconomic situations, race, prejudice, those type of afflictions definitely have an effect on mental health. And I think one of the things that, if we look at barriers as to why we would say men are hesitant, it's that stigma. It's that belief that I'm a male, I don't need to ask for help. In our community, we oftentimes go with the premise of, I'm socialized to be masculine. So that means I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of my family. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the provider. I'm the one who doesn't cry. And that's a very powerful statement. I'm the one that doesn't cry. I'm the one who, I don't need help. But what we do know is that those, lack of services within our communities, which it is now, affects us and affects us holistically, both mentally and physically as well. So I think that we have to start looking at breaking down those particular stigmas and those myths that are associated with that. And one of the primary ones is that if I ask for help, it may mean that I'm weak or I'm less of a quote-unquote man.
Right.
Yeah, Doc, I think it's hard to follow you because you just hit all the,
Of course you can.
hit all the good points.
Of course you can.
I've been training people for over 20 years, and I see so many people who are out of sync. They think that if I get my body right, then everything else will fall into place. Or if I get my mind right, then somehow my body and my spirit, all these other things, and you have to understand you're a tripartite being. You are made up of three. You are a mind, you are a body, you are a spirit. And when any one of them is out of alignment with the other two, then you have dysfunction. And so people are out of alignment, and because they are, their mental state impacts their physical state. But then to your point, we look at what are the things that keep us, and I say what keeps a lid on men's mental state, and it's labels, it's identity, and it's dysfunction. We allow people to attach these ridiculous labels to us. Like, I'm a real man, so I don't cry. But then why do you have tear ducts? You have tear ducts, so you're supposed to cry. Then we have issues with identity. So many people are in constant pursuit of who they really are. And because they've never rectified and justified that question, their mental health is on the back burner. And lastly, it's a dysfunction. What's happened to you? And what wound have you not addressed? Because every wound leaves a scar or a scab. Right. And there's some wounding that we're not really addressing. So the labels, the sense of lack of identity, and that dysfunction has put a lid on men's context around their mental health. To just make it worse, we don't treat mental health like it's real.
Right.
Like it's really a problem. We criminalize it. We stigmatize it, and we treat it like it's everything other than a real pandemic. It is not just an African American male issue, because if I'm out of alignment and I'm not functioning optimally, my family can't. If my family can't, then our community can't. If our community can't, then the city, then the state, then the country. And we want to know why the country's in a state of disarray that it is now. Is because we've put mental health on the back burner, and we've made the acquisition of things and labels and titles far more important than really being holistically healthy.
We have a caller. Let's hear from caller on line 1. Gene, welcome to Question of the Day.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Saturday to you guys.
Thank you.
I'm a Vietnam-era veteran, and this issue has been addressed by the VA, and I think in a very positive way. Part of our total health and our holistic health is a question that's always asked. Let's say when I go to, when I get my annual health checkup, or when I see a primary care physician, and that is, would you like to talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
Right.
Because PTSD is for real.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody knows that when you're in the military and you deal with life and death situations, or if you are, let's say, a paramedic, I worked in the emergency room, I was a triage person there, and you're dealing with that kind of stress, it affects your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's again, health. The word health is key. In order to be totally healthy, you have to deal with the physical and the mental. And I think that we don't. And I praise you guys for bringing this to our attention, and so that the people who are listening, including myself, and I was, and I'm glad that you are talking about it, because it's something that we should consider, just like we consider having breakfast every morning.
Right.
Is our mental health, and so it should be part of your being. Mental health is good. I had an anxiety attack, and I had to deal with this realistically, because when you have anxiety, you are dealing with what's real and what's not real. Mm-hmm. And once you lose contact with reality, and that's when a lot of these things happen. A lot of our kids, I know you're going to talk about it, but a lot of our children are under tremendous stress.
Yes.
Some of them are in a war zone, and they're suffering from PTSD. And I think that I'm sure that your conversation is going to deal with all of that. And I just want to chime in and say I think it's a good thing. I take advantage of the opportunity whenever I feel low and I go to the VA. When the primary care physician asks me would I like to talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, I say yes.
Right.
And sometimes what comes out of that is I get a good cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel better when I come out. I'm a better person for it. I deal with my problem, my situation. I'm also totally blind, and I didn't go blind until I was 55 years old. I'm 70 years old now.
Wow.
And so every day is a challenge. And I have a friend who was a combat vet who deals with, much more of a mental challenge than I do. But we have a support mechanism set up that 24/7, no matter what, you can give me a call. so I think we have to support each other that way and encourage each other to get mentally healthy. And
Right.
I just wanted to support you guys and agree with what your conversation is about. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
King. Thank you.
You know, Sherman and the caller brought up a good point about tears, how we criminalize it, I think you said. And that brings me to what we were talking about before, off air, Tyrese. You know, if you look at social media, just a small clipping of him crying and pouring his heart out, we're now, imitating it, making fun of it.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of men are hesitant about expressing themselves, about seeking help, because they're afraid someone's going to laugh at me.
And you're going to take me down a notch. And
Exactly.
I don't want to experience that.
Right.
Because crying in and of itself, very healthy, very cleansing for
Right.
the body, the spirit,
Exactly.
everything. But when we see that, because we have those preconceived notions that looks like less of a man.
Right.
Exactly.
How could I align myself? How can you take care of me if you're crying? What kind of man are you?
Right. Right.
And those are the types of things that men oftentimes will internalize and say, I'm not going to let you see that side of me. So I may not cry, but I'm going to keep it internal, and then it's doing physical things to my body.
Right.
It's